Hi, it's Lee the History Boy. Notice how I'm sitting on the toilet, but I'm not actually using it. Yeah, that's my Maurice Moss impression for all the IT crowd, watchers out there. Anyway, let's get to the subject of the matter. This is an intro, by the way. Yes, this is the intro to 20 questions. That's 20 questions about just trivia in general, films, history. I do try to bulk it out with history, but also obscure things that people might actually know because people's viewpoints on things are always interesting. Um, so yeah, be sure to like, subscribe, comment on all my 20 questions, episodes, and well, yeah, this is Liam J. Roberts, Lee the History Boy, with 20 questions, and that's every fortnight, aka around the time of 2 weeks. There's not an exact day all the time, like with my fun facts, but I'm kind of doing this instead. So, welcome to 20 Questions with your host, Liam James Roberts, aka Lee the History Boy, or just Lee, if you like. Anyway, stay tuned. Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of 20 Quiztions. Now, before we begin, I'd like to say in advance, I will eventually set up the, going live thing, but I sometimes have this flare up of an annoying condition called CBA. Can't be asked. Some things are more trouble than they're worth, or take longer than they need to. Anyway. Yeah, hope you like the intro and so on and so forth. So, and also, I apologise for any background rustling you might hear. That's the papers. I did try to tape them together. I do have a staple gun, but well, not just stapler. There's a difference. But yeah, and also a can't be arsed thing. But I'll do that in my own time. Anyway, let's get to it. So, Melkor was the master of which Lord of the Rings villain? Is it Ankalagan the Black, Sauron, or Lurtz? And well done to those of you who answered Sauron. Melkor was the Dark Lord in Lord of the Rings before Sauron. Ankalagan the Black is an early dragon who's like 30 times the size of Smaug, if you know The Hobbit, and Lurtz is the archer that kills Boromir, played by Sean Bean, in either The Fellowship of the Ring or The Two Towers. Which of these US presidents was a keen wrestler? Is it Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Jackson, or Edward Bader? And very well done if those of you who were listening said Abraham Lincoln. Andrew Jackson wasn't, and Edward Bader wasn't.
and I've been sort of on and off watching Boardwalk Empire again. Edward Bader is a good reference as an obscure American president, but Abraham Lincoln definitely was, to the point where Street Fighter V character G is a heavy inspiration um, from Abraham Lincoln. Is there anything he couldn't do? Zombie killer, vampire killer, and wrestler, and somehow modern day um, Street Fighter. Which Irish actor is the lead of the film A Man Called Horse? Is it Colin Farrell, Chris O'Dowd, or Richard Harris? And the answer is Richard Harris. Rest his soul. Chris O'Dowd was the last thing I watched. Chris O'Dowd in was Cloverfield Paradox. What are you talking about, Aaron? Colin Farrell. Last thing I saw him in was True Detective season 2. Gets too much of it. I mean, it was kind of like lukewarm, I guess, towards the end. But him, um, Fred Ward as his dad, liked them. I liked Vince Vaughn, Taylor Kitsch, and of course Rachel McAdams. Loads of really good actors in that. Yeah, Richard Harris in A Man Called Horse. He's like a posh. He's like an English posher that he goes like into the Arizona desert in the with the Navajo or something like that. I don't know what tribe it. I haven't really watched it, but it's sort of like the Dances with Wolves thing with Kevin Costner. You know, he gets named. He gets it given like a title, tribal name by them. All right then, next one. Mob associate Meyer Lansky was born in which modern day country? Speaking of Boardwalk Empire. Um, yeah. Lithuania, Poland, or Belarus? And a round of applause for yourselves, those of you who said Belarus. I chose all those three though because they're all at the time he was born in 1902. There would have been the pogroms going on, where basically there was anti-Jewish sentiment, or whatever that term is. So they were all part of the Russian Empire, Lithuania, Poland. Poland for a long time was Congress Poland up until 1920, maybe 1930, something like recent like that. Lithuania. Yeah, I think Lithuania. Yeah. Judge Robert Rinder's great granddad was from there, and he would have been a Russian at the time, I guess. So yeah, that one. Basilosaurus was an early type of what animal? Was that a snake, a shark, or a whale? Well done, those of you who said whale. If there's any shout out to any potential Walking with Beast fans out there. Called basically one of those things, names that got left as it was. I think originally way back in sometime in the 1800s, when they were really going like advanced excavating prehistoric animals. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, people. Yeah, the expedition leader or whatever thought it was was a type of dinosaur. And for some reason, they couldn't think of to change the name after they found out it was a whale ancestor. All right. Question 6. Who portrayed the first Doctor in the Doctor Who serial The Five Doctors? Was it Michael Jones, Stephen Noonan, or Richard Hurndall? And if those of you said Richard Hurndall, you would be correct. Stephen Noonan is the is the guy who does the voice of the first Doctor in the Big Finish audio series now, and Michael Jones was the little boy in the 12th Doctor episode. Listen, you know, those of you who've watched it or Doctor Who nerds would know, you know, the whole Clara somehow being there and teaching him that fear is a superpower. You know, in the same band that the War Doctor just happens to try to end the Time War. Question 7. The plague of Justinian is believed to be a predecessor to which epidemic? Is it the Antonine Plague, the Black Death, or the Plague of Megiddo? And if you said the Black Death, you would have been absolutely correct. Tested by scientists or whatever, or compared because they have samples of these plagues. They're never really gone away. Black plagues have occurred technically like multiple times throughout history, in different places. The Antonine Plague, can't remember what that is right now. I think I kind of been setting these questions up and finished them today. Finished writing them today. You know, about in the space of like a week, 2 week, well, week and a half, I'd say actually. So if those of you who can be asked to, you know, stick around to this point in the video, and those of you who are really history savvy about obscure things, maybe you know, outbreaks and so on throughout history, and you know, antiquity and all that kind of stuff, Bronze Age stuff, and maybe I think it's Roman. Anyway, Roman or Greek. Yeah, if anyone can, you know, feel free to comment and drop a comment about what the Antonine Plague is. The Plague of Megiddo is some kind of, it's Akkadian or Babylonian, what's now Iraq and Afghanistan and Iran, and sort of into Pakistan technically, I guess, but more Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan. And that was due to, it was a weird one. It's sort of almost legendary status because this is all way back in early Bronze Age stuff. And this is something to do with, there was a famine, and long story short, the abridged version that might be slightly misremembering or misinformed. The famine made it so that people were too weak to fight off an incoming infection that spread from somewhere. Probably it's a parasitic thing. Combination of parasitic, awful stuff and starvation pretty much killed people over there. It's sort of a mystery. Somewhere around 1700 BCE, I think. Where the frig? There we go. Yes. Hence the rustling that I warned you about. Despite his rather francophone-sounding family name, Russian jeweller Gustav Fabergé was born in which modern-day country? Was he born in Switzerland? Was he born in Estonia? Or C, was he born in Poland? And, brackets, time, I guess. Sorry for the repetition, I guess, in certain things. There's another question that's kind of the same category as a Doctor Who one. I just kind of, sorry, I'm waffling. But, well done to those who said Estonia. Yeah, he was of Baltic German background, but the Fabergé, his Fabergé paternal name, he was of French Huguenot ancestry, and made him and his family, at least his direct ancestors, did pretty well. Making their fortune in Russia, and he took it to another level. I mean, God knows what his net worth would be now if he were alive. He'd probably be like the second richest man on earth. Maybe. Who knows? Thingy, inflation, so on and so forth. It resets after a while, but you get the idea. Jupiter's great spot is what type of natural occurrence? Is it a storm, a volcanic eruption, or a wildfire? Well done if you said a storm, and it rages every 100 years and then stops and then starts again for whatever reason. The Japanese-British show Monkey is based on the misadventures of which mythical figure? Is it the Tigoloshi, Hiawatha, or Sun Wukong? Well done if you said Sun Wukong, the Monkey King. Tigoloshi is like a demon in Zimbabwean folklore, and Hiawatha is I think Nez Perce, a merry Indian, whatever term you want to use, in Samuel Taylor Coleridge's poem, The Song of Hiawatha. And speaking of, if you remember, in Doctor Who, Palix is the birth name of which Time Lord? Is it Theta Sigma, B, Thremix, or C, Omega? And again, shout out to the Doctor Who fans out there that got it right. If you said Omega, you would have been right. Because there are big Finnish stories about him too, where he starts to go by his original name. Thremix is the Time Lord or Time Lady that's supposed to have invented or mass-produced regeneration. And Theta Sigma is the Doctors, well, the first Doctors, if you know the law, but that's going on now, well, since 2022. Theta Sigma is the first Doctor's student name when he went to the academy.
And welcome back to 20 Quiztions Episode 2. Cleopatra was reputed to be a descendant of a general who served under which military leader? Philip of Macedonia, Alexander the Great, or was it Solon? And if you said Alexander the Great, you would have been correct. Well done. Solon was a ancient Greek from all the way back in 600 BC, around the time that the Spartan Empire, or whatever they call themselves as Spartans, kind of started off. He was known for being a military genius, really. The earliest known leader, or whatever, to discover or invent or whatever biological warfare, and he did stuff like poisoning water supplies. Philip of Macedonia was the father of Alexander the Great. Victorian Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli was born into which faith? Quaker, Presbyterian, or Judaism? And well done if you said Judaism. The other two are branches of Christianity. What did Martin Van Buren and David Lloyd George have in common? They founded a health service, they learned English as a second language, or C, they popularised a phrase for political gain. And if you said B, yeah, Lloyd George grew up in a Welsh-speaking household, and Van Buren grew up speaking, well, in a Dutch-speaking household. In Prometheus and Alien Covenant, which Australian actor played Wayland-Yutani founder Peter Wayland? Eric Bana, Guy Pearce, or John Jarratt? And if you said Guy Pearce, very well done. Eric Bana's known for being Bruce Banner in Hulk, and Mark Chopper, the real life criminal Mark Chopper Reed in Chopper. John Jarratt is Mick Taylor in Wolf Creek. You know, both films and the series based somewhat heavily on the backpack killer Ivan Milat. And he was also, for all you Quentin Tarantino film fans out there, he was one of the guys who ran the LeQuint Dickey mining company in Django Unchained. Before bolstering his fame as Hector Salamanca in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, Matt Margolis portrayed a hitman in which Brian De Palma film? Carlito's Way, Greetings, or Scarface? And well done to those who said Scarface. He was Alberto the Shadow, the Bolivian car bomber who Tony shoots in the face because the target's wife and daughters were in the car. Greetings is one of De Palma's earliest films, a comedy about Robert De Niro playing a slob who, well, I guess it's arguable that term, but he doesn't want to get drafted into the Vietnam War. Carlito's Way, of course, also has, like Scarface, Al Pacino as the main guy. Which two English actors and actresses played the parents of Connor O'Malley in the film adaptation of Patrick Ness's novel A Monster Calls? Paddy Considine and Felicity Jones, Toby Kebbell and Felicity Jones, or Sam Claflin and Felicity Jones? And bravo to you if you said B, Toby Kebbell and Felicity Jones. Sam Claflin and Felicity Jones were in some kind of romance film, and I chose Paddy Considine because Paddy Considine and Toby Kebbell were together in a Shea Meadows film called Dead Man's Shoes. Very grim, harrowing. I recommend it. It's hard going though. Considine is the big brother of Kebbell, and some very bad things happen to the little brother, and I won't go into specifics, spoilers and so on. East End gangster Mad Frankie Fraser's father was from which country? Was he from Canada, Belize, or New Zealand? And if you said Canada, you would be right. The shortest war in history so far between England and Zanzibar lasted for how long? 38 minutes, 30 minutes, or 22 minutes? And the answer is 38 minutes. Congratulations to those who answered that correctly. And 20th, and of course, final question of this week's 20 Quiztions. The auroch was an ancestor of which domestic animal? Was this a pig, an alpaca, or a cow? And if you said a cow, you would have been correct. Yeah, big bull, giant bull looking things that were domesticated in at least Turkey or Russia in like the early known farming days. And yeah, that concludes this week's, like as I said, repeating myself just to do some filler time. 20 questions. Gotta think too much. Anyway, yeah, before I leave, yeah, I wanted the rest of this video to be kind of a picture and audio file courtesy of ConverterApp, but yeah, it wasn't having it. So yeah, hope you all enjoy this video when you get round to, when you lot all get round to viewing it. Thanks for the views that are building up so far on the first episode, and I'll love you and leave you, as my nan and a few others in my family would say. Whatever.